Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly, maybe with a cup of coffee in your hands, staring out the window and feeling like the world got a little quieter, a little emptier? If you have, please know, you're not alone. Losing a life partner after decades of shared moments, shared dreams, and shared struggles isn't just painful, it's disorienting. It can feel like half of you suddenly went missing, and every little thing, from an empty chair at the dinner table to a quiet Sunday afternoon, becomes a reminder of what was. Today, I want to talk about something we don't often say out loud, what life feels like after that loss, and how, little by little, you can find your footing again. It's not about moving on as people like to say. It's about moving forward, with the memories, with the love, and with a renewed sense of who you are, even when it feels impossible at first. In this video, we're going to gently explore what happens emotionally, mentally, and practically after your partner passes. We'll look at the emotions no one warns you about, the tiny victories that start to appear when you least expect them, and the steps you can take, without pressure, without judgment, to begin rebuilding your sense of peace and purpose. Now, let's start by talking about one of the hardest parts, the empty spaces. Not just the physical ones, like an empty side of the bed or a favorite chair that now just sits still. I'm talking about the silence that sneaks up when you realize there's no one to tell your news to at the end of the day, no one to laugh with over something silly, no one to remind you that you're still seen. And you know what? That silence, it's loud. It's heavier than anyone ever tells you. It doesn't follow a schedule, and it doesn't care if you're at the grocery store, or at a family gathering, or just brushing your teeth before bed. It finds you when you're least ready. And that's okay. It's a sign of how deeply you loved, how intertwined your lives were. Feeling that depth of loss is not a weakness, it's a reflection of the richness you built together. At first, it feels like the silence will swallow you whole. But with time, and you don't have to rush this, you start learning how to live beside the silence instead of inside it. Maybe it's filling a small part of the day with a new hobby, or finding comfort in old family albums, or taking a short walk every morning just to remind yourself that the world is still spinning, and so are you. And then comes the complicated guilt. Maybe you catch yourself smiling at a joke, or laughing at a funny memory someone shares. Maybe you feel a flicker of joy at a sunrise or the smell of fresh coffee. And then, guilt slams you hard. How dare I smile? How dare I enjoy anything without them? But here's something I want you to hear clearly. Feeling happiness again doesn't mean you're forgetting. It doesn't mean you love them any less. It simply means you're still alive. And your partner, if they loved you the way most do, would never have wanted their absence to chain you down in sorrow forever. Finding little pieces of joy again is an act of honor. It's you carrying their memory with you into new experiences. It's proof that love leaves an imprint so strong that it fuels you even after they're physically gone. Now, grief has no timeline. Some days will be okay. Some days will knock you back so hard you feel like you're starting over. And that's normal. Healing isn't a straight line. It's more like a tide, coming in, pulling back, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. And that's where small routines can help. Simple things, like making your bed, preparing a meal you enjoy, sitting outside for 10 minutes of sunshine, can anchor you when emotions feel too big. You're not trying to fix everything overnight. You're just finding ways to take tiny steps back into life. You might also start noticing that friends and family don't always know what to say. Some will try to cheer you up too quickly. Some will avoid talking about your partner altogether because they don't want to upset you. It's not because they don't care. It's because grief makes people uncomfortable, even though it's one of the most universal experiences in the world. You have every right to bring up your partner's name. You have every right to tell stories, to smile, to cry, to laugh through tears if that's what you need. Talking about them keeps their memory alive, not just for you, but for everyone who loved them too. As you keep putting one foot in front of the other, you might find surprising moments of strength. The first time you drive somewhere alone. The first time you handle a tough decision without having them to lean on. Each of these little victories matters. Each of them is proof that you're still capable, still standing, even when you thought you couldn't be. Now that we've explored the early waves of grief and the emotional hurdles that come in the first months, let's gently move into something equally important: how to start building a life that honors your past while creating space for new beginnings. When you've lived so much of your life in tandem with someone, thinking about new beginnings can sound almost impossible, even wrong. It might even feel like a betrayal at first. But starting a new chapter doesn't mean closing the book on your old life. It means honoring it and carrying it forward in a way that lets you continue to grow, even through the pain. One of the first and most gentle ways to open that door is by rediscovering yourself. After years, sometimes decades, of being part of a team, it's easy to forget the little things that make you you. Maybe you loved painting once but gave it up because life got busy. Maybe you used to sing in the shower or dream about visiting a certain place. Those dreams and passions didn't vanish. They've just been waiting patiently for you. You might start by asking yourself small questions. What makes me feel a little lighter, even for a few minutes? What activity makes me lose track of time in a good way? It could be gardening, writing letters, volunteering, playing a musical instrument, even learning something completely new. And no, it's never too late. Trying something new isn't about replacing your partner. It's about reminding yourself that you're still a whole person. That you're allowed to experience growth, joy, and discovery. That you still have gifts to share with the world. And here's the beautiful thing: everything you build from this moment on will be infused with the love and lessons you shared with your partner. You're not leaving them behind, you're walking with them in every new step you take. Another important part of rebuilding is community. Grief can be isolating. You might find yourself turning down invitations, avoiding gatherings, retreating into your shell. And that's okay at first. Sometimes solitude is part of the healing. But after a while, reaching out, even just a little bit, can be a lifeline. Maybe it's joining a group at your local community center. Maybe it's reaching out to an old friend you haven't talked to in a while. Maybe it's just smiling at a neighbor and asking how their day is going. Every small connection matters. And if you're not ready for big social gatherings yet, that's fine too. Even online communities or support groups can offer comfort. Sometimes it's easier to talk to people who truly understand what you're going through, people who have been there themselves. Speaking of support, it's important to be patient with yourself about the ups and downs. Some days will feel hopeful. Others might feel impossibly heavy. Healing isn't about making sadness disappear forever. It's about learning how to live alongside it without letting it steal all the color from your life. When the bad days come, and they will, you might hear that little voice in your head saying, "I should be over this by now." Please know, there's no should in grief. There's only your pace, your path. Every tear, every laugh, every quiet moment, they're all part of the journey. Another thing that can bring surprising comfort is creating new traditions, even small ones. Maybe you plant a tree in your partner's memory. Maybe you light a candle on their birthday. Maybe you start writing a letter to them each month, sharing your thoughts and experiences. Rituals like these don't erase the loss, but they can create a beautiful bridge between your old life and the life you're still building. And let's talk about something else that's often overlooked: taking care of your physical health. When you're grieving, it's easy to lose interest in meals, skip walks, or neglect your sleep. But your body needs extra care now, more than ever. Not as a chore, not as another burden, but as a way of showing yourself love and respect. Start with something gentle. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk in the sunshine. Maybe it's cooking a simple, nourishing meal. Maybe it's just getting outside for fresh air each day. Treat your body kindly. It's been through a lot, and it's still carrying you forward. Finally, never underestimate the healing power of talking to someone. Whether it's a trusted friend, a counselor, or a support group, speaking your feelings out loud can be one of the most powerful steps you take. Bottling up grief doesn't make it go away, it just makes it heavier to carry. Sharing your story lightens the load, bit by bit, word by word. You don't have to fix yourself. You don't have to rush to be okay. You just have to keep breathing, keep trying, and keep believing that somewhere, somehow, there's still beauty ahead for you. Now that we've talked about rebuilding life gently, at your own pace, let's move into something equally important: how to rediscover hope and meaning when the future looks different than you ever imagined. When you've made it through the hardest days, the ones where even getting out of bed felt like a victory, you start to notice something gentle and surprising creeping back in: hope. It's not loud. It's not overwhelming. It's quiet. It's the first genuine laugh you catch yourself making. It's the moment you realize you've spent an afternoon lost in a book or in the garden without feeling that ever-present weight pressing down. Hope doesn't erase the loss. It sits next to it. It says, you can carry this and still move forward. Rediscovering purpose after loss is not about grand gestures. It's about small choices, each one made with care. Maybe you volunteer at a local food bank once a week. Maybe you adopt a pet who needs a home. Maybe you start painting again or pick up a new hobby you always wanted to try but never had the time for. Finding new meaning doesn't dishonor the love you lost, it honors it. It says, the love I shared made me stronger. It gave me roots. And now, I grow. You might be surprised to find that giving to others, even in small ways, can be deeply healing. A simple act of kindness, a warm meal for a neighbor, a visit to a friend who's feeling lonely, a listening ear for someone going through their own tough time, can do as much for your heart as it does for theirs. Every time you show up for someone else, you remind yourself that you're still here, still needed, still capable of making a difference. And in that, there's incredible power. Another step in rebuilding a full life after loss is allowing yourself to dream again. It's natural to think, I'm too old, or it's too late. But dreams don't come with expiration dates. Whether it's traveling somewhere you've always wanted to go, taking a class, or even just planning a small weekend adventure, giving yourself something to look forward to can reignite a spark inside you that you thought might have gone out forever. It's okay if the dreams are different now. It's okay if your future looks nothing like the future you once imagined. What's important is that you still have the right, and the opportunity, to live fully. And it's important to remember, it's not about moving on as if forgetting. It's about moving forward with love, with memories, with strength you never knew you had. You carry your partner with you in every step you take. In the way you love others. In the way you treat yourself. In the way you keep showing up, even on days when it feels impossible. As we wrap up today's conversation, I want you to know something deep in your heart: you are not alone. Even when it feels like the world has gotten smaller, even when the nights feel too quiet, there are still people who understand. There are still joys waiting for you. There are still new memories to be made, beautiful ones, different but no less precious. Healing isn't a straight line. It's a winding path, full of dips and curves. Some days will feel easy. Others will feel heavy. But every day you choose to keep going, every moment you choose to seek even the smallest joy, you are building a new, meaningful life. And that life, full of resilience, full of courage, full of love, that life is a tribute to the one you lost. A living, breathing testament to everything they meant to you, and everything you still are. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you found any comfort, strength, or hope in this message, I invite you to share your thoughts below. Maybe tell us one small thing you've done lately that made you smile, even for just a moment. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you want more conversations like this, warm, honest, supportive, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're building a community here where every story matters, and every heart is welcome. Here's to finding light even in the darkest moments. Here's to love that never leaves us. And here's to living our best, most meaningful lives, at every age. You are stronger than you know. And you are never, ever alone.